Hey everyone! Today, we're going to break down a really powerful feature in VMware vSphere called Storage I/O Control, or SIOC for short. Now, if you've ever found yourself battling storage performance headaches, wishing you could just tell your system which apps matter most, well, you're going to want to stick around. This might just be the solution you've been looking for.
So to really get why SIOC is such a game changer, we first have to talk about a super common and, let's be honest, incredibly frustrating problem that it was designed to solve. And that's the classic noisy neighbor.
So have you ever had one of those days, everything's running just fine, and then boom, performance on one of your most critical applications just falls off a cliff. You start digging around, and what do you find? One single resource-hogging virtual machine is gobbling up all the I/O, causing chaos for everyone else. Sound familiar?
Well, that right there is the noisy neighbor effect. It's what happens when one VM just monopolizes the connection to your storage, creating a massive traffic jam. This I/O congestion starves all your other important VMs, your databases, your critical app servers, and their performance just grinds to a halt. It's a huge bottleneck and a major headache.
Okay, so we understand the chaos that a noisy neighbor can unleash. Now let's meet the solution that brings a little law and order back to your storage environment.
And that solution is SIOC. Honestly, the absolute best way to think about it is as a dedicated traffic cop for all your storage I/O. Its entire job is to watch for congestion, and when it happens, to step in, manage the flow, and make sure everybody gets where they need to go in a fair and orderly way.
So how does this traffic cop actually direct the flow? What's it doing when that I/O traffic jam starts to build up? Let's break down exactly how it works.
You see, the key to SIO's magic is its trigger. It doesn't just jump in randomly. It is constantly watching one key metric: data store latency. In simple terms, that's just how long it takes for a storage request to get a response. When that latency number starts to climb, that's the flashing red light that a traffic jam is forming, and it's time to step in.
And it all happens in this really elegant, three-step process. First, it detects the congestion. That happens as soon as latency crosses a threshold that you set. Second, it starts allocating resources. It figures out who the noisy neighbor is and gently throttles its I/O while giving priority to the critical VMs based on the shares you've assigned them. Think of shares as just a way of telling vSphere, hey, this one is more important. And third, it enforces this intelligently. It doesn't just slam on the brakes, it gradually adjusts the I/O queues, which are kind of like the waiting lines for storage, to ease the congestion, and then eases off as the storage array catches up. It's a really smart system.
So, what's the actual result of all this? What happens when you have this traffic cop on duty 24/7? Let's talk about the benefits.
This quote really says it all. The main goal here is to create predictable performance. By stopping any single VM from hogging all the resources, you can actually guarantee that the applications that are most important to your business will perform the way they're supposed to. This isn't just a tech win, it's a huge business win.
And that all boils down to these three key benefits. You get guaranteed performance for those mission-critical apps. You get fair resource sharing, so I/O is handed out based on priority, not just whoever screams the loudest. And you get proactive management, which is a fundamental shift from how we usually deal with these kinds of problems.
This slide really drives the point home. The old way? We wait for the fire alarm. We wait for the storage to get totally overwhelmed, and then we scramble to put out all the performance fires. The SIOC way is completely proactive. It's like having a smoke detector that also puts the fire out for you before it ever has a chance to spread. It manages the problem before it becomes a crisis.
This all sounds great, doesn't it? But you're probably asking, okay, what do I actually need to put this traffic cop on duty in my own environment? Let's take a look.
There are really three main things to keep in mind. First up is licensing. You're going to need VMware vSphere Enterprise Plus. Second is compatibility. This is super important. You've got to check VMware's official guide to make sure your specific storage array is supported. And finally, the data store type. The good news is SIOC works with the big ones, including Fibre Channel, ISCSI, and NFS.
So if you take away one thing from all this, let it be this. SIOC is about enforcing a set of rules on your shared storage. It makes sure that when there's a fight for resources, and trust me, there's always a fight for resources, your most important VMs are always at the front of the line, getting the priority access they need to do their job.
Ultimately, SIOC really transforms storage management.
It takes it from being a reactive, firefighting exercise to a proactive, automated, and fair system. It's a strategic shift that helps make sure your technology is actually serving the business and not the other way around. So the real question is, now that you know the rules of the road, are you ready to control your storage traffic?